Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1149, and today's date is December 11th, 2016, and the title of the episode is The Current Economic Collapse News Brief. Let's get right into the economic collapse news. Now, over the many years, we've been watching this economy deteriorate and implode, and we notice that the central banks, they have to continually push their agenda with the creation of currency, bringing interest rates down to zero, down to negative. And out in Europe, we see the ECB chairman Mario Draghi. He announced a bigger and better QE. Now, the fact is that the Eurozone is completely coming apart at its seams. And the only tool left to delay what is coming, and that is the collapse of the entire system, is to create more of this currency. And the euro has been declining since 2008. And lately, it's accelerating. And the only way for Italy, like Greece and France, to keep everything together is for their currency to plunge relative to those who they're trading with. So, what do the European savers do to counteract this? Well, gold. Gold is made for this kind of situation. When the currency starts to decline, devalue, gold will protect your wealth. Now, lately we've been seeing the stock market surge. People are out there saying the economy is all better. GDP shot up to 3.2%. Unemployment's down to 4.6%. And again, the elite, the central bankers, they want you to believe that the economy is improving. But something strange is happening right now. Since the market has been soaring, and since everyone believes that everything is so great, except for us, because we've been following the economic indicators and we've been seeing that everything is completely falling apart, why then, if the bank stocks are soaring, like Citigroup by 25%, JP Morgan by 26%, Goldman Sachs by 37%, why then are the insiders, those with the smart money, why are they dumping their shares faster than any time in data going back to 2003? The executives of these banks, the insiders, do they know something we don't? Well, we know what's happening. They're pushing the market up to all-time new highs, and they're selling off their stocks because they know what is coming next, and that is a complete collapse of the system. Out in the area of Greece, the Greece authorities have been noticing that hundreds of migrants, they're arriving on the Greek islands of Lesbos, and they're trying to understand what is going on here. And what they started to realize was that Turkey is dissolving their migrant camps. And the Turkish Coast Guard that monitors the Aegean Sea, well, they completely disappeared. And Erdogan did say that if he does not get his way, he would unleash these people throughout Europe. And we can see that this might be happening right now. Here in the United States, the Obama administration has admitted about 85,000 refugees into the United States in 2016. This is the highest number since 1999. And in the year of 2017, they're expecting it to reach about 110,000 refugees into the United States. The Pew Research Center pointed out that the top 10 states are taking in 54% of refugees. And they laid this out, where they're saying California, Texas, New York, well, they're receiving about 24% of the incoming refugees. Arkansas, the District of Columbia, Wyoming, resettled fewer than 10 refugees each. And Delaware and Hawaii, they took in pretty much none. And we have to go to the point of why this is all happening. Why are we seeing this huge amount of refugees? Well, we understand what's happening in the Middle East is that the United States government central bankers, they've gone into each one of these countries. They've had regime change. They have continuous war out in this area, all to keep their system propped up. So they're killing civilians, People can't find a place to live because there's war and there's no food, there's no water, and they're looking to go to a place with their families to try to resettle. Now, we can see right now that the United States government, the coalition forces, they are behind this, because if you go back in time, the refugee population grew during this period of where the United States went into Yemen, Sudan, Libya, Lebanon, Iraq, Syria, and they are causing this major problem. Now, we know the United States government central bankers, they have not given up on Syria. We understand we have 3 warships in the Mediterranean. We realize there's about 1,500 troops heading towards into Iraq, and now there is 200 more troops moving into Syria. Of course, this is all under the false pretense that they're going to fight the Islamic State. Well, it looks like mostly they're mopping up. It looks like they're establishing the areas in Syria. They want the area of Raqqa. This is where these 200 additional military personnel are headed. And we can see right now that they are planning something much larger in this area, because we can see there's a huge battle going on in Mosul in Iraq. We have boots on the ground there. We have boots on the ground in Syria. And for all intents and purposes, the Islamic State, they're on the run. So one thing they're doing is a mop-up mission. The other one is they're planning for something much larger, because we know the Pentagon has created a whole brand new force made up of Syrians. And we can see that a lot of these structures, like the Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, Al-Sham, well, most likely they'll be morphing into this new group, and they'll just say that everyone is Syrian. So out in this area, we can see something is definitely building. Something is about to happen. And we see right now that the Syrian forces, they found a warehouse filled with chemical weapons where the moderate rebels, the Islamic State, Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, this is where they were creating these weapons. And this store, this area, this warehouse, was owned by pro-Turkish rebel group known for its participation with Al-Nusra, Al-Qaeda, in Syria. And it has connections with the Turkish organization. And all those reports that were coming out about chemical weapons, Assad was using them, he had to get rid of his chemical weapons. Well, we're starting to hear more and more reports, and the truth is continually coming out that no, these chemical weapons are being used by the Islamic State, the chemical weapons are being used by the moderate rebels, the chemical weapons are being used by Al-Nusra, and they're even manufacturing all of these weapons. Now, on Friday, we know Obama came out and he wanted a complete review of what happened during the elections. And we can see right now there have been leaks from the CIA. And the CIA is saying that through their secret assessment, they have a body of evidence from multiple sources that it's quite clear that Russia hacked the election system. And the U.S. intelligence community, they're so certain that it happened, they're just a little afraid to go on record to say that it did. This is all through anonymous sources. And what we're seeing right now is that they really have no evidence whatsoever. A second leak was released, and this was given to the New York Times. And of course, it's from an anonymous official, asserting that the Russian hacked the Republican National Committee computer system in addition to their hacks on the Democratic organizations, but did not release whatever information they gleaned from the Republican networks. And the New York Times story says that it is also far from clear that Russia's original intent was to support Mr. Trump and maybe just, undercut the confidence and integrity of the voting system. But again, there is no evidence of any of these claims. This is all propaganda right now. It's through anonymous sources, anonymous people. They haven't presented any evidence whatsoever. But of course, through the corporate media, they're going to continue to tell you that everything is true. Now, remember, the CIA, they lie. And people say, well, what do you mean by they lie? How could this be? Well, if you look back in time, you can see that they have lied. There's a report that came out in the past that says senators grill spy chief and accuse them of lying. Senators warned CIA against lying about civilians killed in drone strikes. James Clapper, Director of National Intelligence, lied to Congress about NSA surveillance. And we can see right now that they lie quite a bit. So let's break this down. What is really happening here? So let's go back in time. We know that Trump and Hillary, they were running for election in the year of 2016. And we know that Hillary and the corporate media, during the debates, they kept on telling Trump, you will concede if you lose the elections. So at that point, they knew something right off the bat. But let's continue. Now, before the elections actually took place, Obama said that Russia hacked the DNC in the elections and the election system, and the U.S. will respond, and the elections happened. Now, they were using that whole propaganda piece, they were going to use that to stop the elections if Donald Trump was winning the popular vote. Remember, there's two separate things here, the Electoral College and the popular vote. And with the popular vote, we know the popular vote can be manipulated. Bev Harris, through Hacking Democracy, proved this on many accounts. But they were going to use this propaganda just in case their manipulation tactics didn't work and Trump was winning in the popular vote. Then they can say that, yes, Russia did hack the election system, but their manipulation worked. Hillary received the popular vote. And remember, during this period of time, Jay Johnson from DHS said that DHS was going to monitor the hacking of the election system in something like 20 states or so. But what's very interesting about that, Georgia reported that DHS was trying to hack into their election system because all the attempts, the IP address was from DHS. So that's just very interesting in itself. So Trump won the Electoral College vote, but lost in the popular vote. Well, that was phase one. Phase one, during the election, if Trump was winning the popular vote, use the Russian card of hacking. That didn't happen. Phase two. Okay, before December 19th, we know the Electoral College is going to vote on who is the next president. Jill Stein, pushed by Soros, by Hillary camp, came out and said, we need a recount in these three major states, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan. And many of the states pushed back. The recount process wasn't working as they wanted it to be, how they wanted it to work out. And a lot of the states are stopping the recounting process. Now, they still need to postpone the election, the electoral count on December 19th. So the recount method didn't work. So they realized this, and Obama comes out and orders an investigation into the integrity of our elections. Now remember, the elite, they still want a war. Just keep that in the back of your head here. And he wants to report before Trump is inaugurated. That's in January of 2017, January 20th. Now, a day or two later, the CIA comes out and they have evidence of a cyber attack, and it was carried out by Russia. This was all through anonymous sources. It was leaked to the Washington Post. And of course, we know the Washington Post published a news story about fake websites, and they admitted later on that that story was fake. So do we believe this story? Let's just go with it. So they have this anonymous source, they have leaks, they have no proof whatsoever, and they're pushing the idea that CIA, they knew about this. Yes, they were hacking. So if the CIA report exists and the White House knew of it, why did the administration release a statement confirming the fairness of the elections right after Stein and Clinton began their push for recounts? That's interesting in itself. Now, what's the purpose of saying this? Because the only manipulation, the only thing that the hacking could do was to allow Trump to get the popular vote. But Hillary got the popular vote. So what are they trying to do right now? What is their agenda? What are they trying to accomplish? Why bring it up now? Why didn't they bring it up right after the elections? Because they want an investigation, and this will postpone the Electoral College voting on December 19th. This is what they're trying to do right now. And this is in phase 2. Phase 3. Let's say they can't stop the Electoral College from voting on December 19th. Remember, Obama wants this report before Trump is sworn in on January 20th. And if this report shows that Russia is behind this hacking, they'll use it to say that this election was completely invalid. And remember, they most likely are going to show no proof. They might show an IP address, but that doesn't link the Russian government. Anybody can pick out an IP address. I mean, look back when they used the propaganda with North Korea hacking Sony. That came out a couple days later. It's completely impossible to track down a state actor that quickly and to actually have real evidence. Actually, they never provided real evidence. So if this plan works, they accomplish two things. The election results are invalid, and Trump is not the president, and Russia cyber attacked the U.S., which is an act of war. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.